Hello, and welcome to the lecture on value. Value is about the traditional view of marketing, see marketing as a process that concerned with the facilitation and communication and exchange by two sides. So one side offer something valuable, money, usually, and the other side give them in return something that worth money, service, anything else. The question is how our job as marketers is to increase the value of this exchange in terms of how the consumer, what is the consumer ready to give in return to the valuable money they offer to the customer. Let's watch this video and about perceived value, and then we will continue. A formula of the relationship between the perceived worth of our offer and the perceived of the competitive offer. This is actually what we do in terms of marketing strategy, of marketing work. We try to increase the competitive advantage, meaning we create a monopoly situation. We create a situation where we offer something unique that other competitors cannot offer, and based on this something unique that other competitors cannot offer, we can increase the return. We can ask for more money, we can ask for higher return, and increase the profit. This is the justification of traditional marketing when we're talking about positioning, when we're talking about marketing mix, and all this is basically the idea that if we segment the market, we find a group and we offer to that group something that is valuable more than the competitors, then we have competitive advantage and then we have higher income. Now, what is value? When we say value, what do we mean by that? And we usually talking about different types of values. We have the functional value. So if something is save time, it simplifies life, it help us to make money or reduce cost, it reduce risk, it organizes things for us, integrate different things, connect, reduce effort, avoid hassle, reduce cost, quality, variety. All this will be on the level of functional value. So consumer will evaluate the value of our proposition based on the functionality of what we offer. Emotional value is about reduce anxiety, rewards, nostalgia, design, the badge value, the wellness, therapeutic value, entertainment, attractiveness, access. All this will give us an emotional value. And this is how we evaluate the proposition of the brand or the product or the service. Then we have the life-changing value. Here is the value will be considered, will be ready to pay more money if it provides hope, self-actualization, motivation, affiliation, belonging. All this will be here. And the highest value is social impact, the self-transcendence, where we actually fulfill ourselves in all levels. The traditional marketing was holding the economic view. Is about producing and increasing value in the exchange thing. I'm giving you, you pay me X amount of money, I give you this this product is made of this material. So usually, traditionally, we were talking about cost plus. It cost me to produce this product X amount of pounds, and I sell it in a Y amount, and my profit is the gap between X and Y. So it's very much depend on material, depend on transaction, depend on hardcore calculations of number. Reality, 80% of products fail in this way. 72% of new 72% of new products fail to reach the revenue target. Not a very successful way to look at that. But this perspective gives the marketing the reason, the purpose of what they do. Because a marketer being tested or still tested in the ability to increase the value. If it costs me 10 pounds to produce this product, but I will convince the consumers that this is worth 20 pounds for them, I increase the profit. And this is the main way how we measure the marketing for a very long time, the ability to increase the perceived value for the consumers. But the ethical justification here for marketing was that if we increase the value for the consumer, meaning the product is better, is answering their needs in a better way, and this is much more important or much more beneficial for the customer, and therefore is ethical for both sides. This is how marketing usually justify the way we approach value. What is important to recognize that the relationship between the producers or the brand or the service and the consumer is not just on a single channel. We don't live in an empty space. If I am Nike and I speak with the consumer, convince him or her to buy new trainers, we are not alone in the room. There are other people that talk about that get involved in the conversation. Yes, it can be people we know, our friends. It can be influencers. It can be celebrities. It can be fellow consumers that are giving comments and reviews on a website. So the ability, what brands come to conclusion is that they don't have a control anymore on that. There is a lot of multiple conversation that will affect the perceived value of our brand. What I want to ask you to pay attention is the more modern side of that is the idea of user-generated content. The idea that fellow consumers can affect the value perceived of a product brought the importance of user-generated content. User-generated content, you will see it as a UGC or consumer-generated content as well. It refers to the content that related to our brand that was created or is created by someone who is not official part of our business. It could be a social media update, a review, a video, a podcast, a number of any other types together. And if it's involve our brand, and none of our employees is involved or affiliated to it, then it's falling on a category of user-generated content or UGC or consumer-generated content, which is the most important development of the last 10 years in terms of value management, is the recognition that user-generated content will influence our value almost equally to our involvement in the transaction. Why is that? There is a issue of trust. Yes, we used to see very filtered, manipulated images on advertisement. We see this beautiful burger, which affect the value perceived, or which attempt to affect the value perceived of the burger. In reality, the burgers look less attractive, and not only that, there is a before and after effect that we always had. Now we have also fellow consumers that will post picture of the burger while they're in a shop, and we don't have any control on what picture they're going to post. So we need to take in consideration that we don't have any more control on the how consumer perceive the experience. Yes? A recent survey found that 2/3 of consumers say that user-generated content creates more authentic buying experience. So they will rely on reviews. You know, when we go to Amazon or when we go to any website, we read the reviews. Yeah, we will look at YouTube's for different people that writing that unpacking product. You know it better than me. All these are regarded as an authentic part of the buying experience. Not only important part, but actually the most important part of our decision. So all these Instagram photos, unboxing photos, product reviews, all these are the most reliable source of information we go nowadays. So in terms of value, we need to remember, we're talking about that the traditionally marketing expectation, or the expectation for marketing traditionally, was to increase the value. But if the value is not only in our hands, but in the user's hand as well, because they will add their input for positive or negative to this conversation, then all the idea of value or increasing value need to be understood in different ways. So Jim Davidson said, like this quote, consumers demand more engaging shopping experience. They are looking to fellow shoppers to answer questions about product, share insight about purchase. He demonstrated that the UGC is outpacing traditional marketing tools when it comes to increasing shopper confidence and influencing decision. So many of you doing the how social media affect consumer decision making in your paper, in your reflective paper. I didn't see so many people talking about user-generated content here, which is extremely important, more than just social media generally. But the user-generated content in social media, this is the most important part in this. Marketeers now go one stage further, and now they ask themselves, okay, how can I use this user-generated content in my campaign? So it's not anymore just, oh, and we need to live with that. We need to realize that we don't have control anymore. Now we try to harness it and use it in our creation of value. Yeah. So we have we began to discuss the customer journey 2 weeks ago, and we will continue in the future. But one important part is to ask, how can we use UGCs in every step of the customer journey? Have a look at Dune, London. Classic example. I don't know if I hope you can see in the picture. If not, just Google it. You will see. Just put your user-generated content Dune London. If the picture is not clear, I hope I can. It's come across. They ask customers to post their pictures or with the product, and actually the customers were the model. So we do. It's not only user-generated content. We move even one step further, and we're talking about co-creation, which I don't think I will have the time, but if you go to the blackboard at the end of this presentation, the last bit of this presentation is about the value co-creation, and you will have reading materials and you will have videos. Have a look at it. Again, if you didn't decide about your subject, this is one of the most fascinating subjects to write about, and I encourage you to have a look at that. So we can see that user generate the effect of. We began the conversation on this part by saying that other customers have an effect on the value perception as well. Yeah, then we move to user-generated content, and now we even go even further when we're talking about co-creation of value with the customers. All these are the part of the effect of the customer, the part of the customer in value creation. Another, this is important part. Another important part in a value creation is the product positioning. If you're not familiar, if you're not a marketing people, and by now you don't know still what is product positioning, please go have a look, Google, read in a book, in any marketing books. It's stuff of undergraduate. You can find it easy in any book. Just familiarize yourself with the idea of what is a positioning, what is perceptual map. Yes, the idea, the keyword of positioning is differentiation. We when we conducting perceptual map, we are finding what are the most important criteria, choice criteria for the customer. What are the most important elements for the customer when they choosing our products or the competitor products? What will they evaluate as the most important thing? So, for example, if I'm choosing a mobile phone, will the memory capacity, will the screen, will the quality of the product, of the camera, will the cost, will the brand name, what will be the two most important, or three, but for the sake of our conversation here, two most important elements that will help me to decide between one mobile phone to the other. Once we do it, then we evaluate how we answer the value requirement of our customers better than our competitors, and based on this evaluation, we create a competitive advantage. So we are looking for the optimal location in the market space where the position is give us a clear advantage on our competitors in the eyes of our segment. So we don't care for the whole market, we care for the specific target group, the segment that we chose as a target. The positioning process is a completely value creation process. Is evaluating the alternative, make sure that we are clear of what alternative exists in the eyes of the customers. Now think about the train. We'll remember the train that we're talking about. What are the alternatives? Well, the case study that we were talking about today. What is the alternative? The alternative is a bike. The alternative is a car. The alternative is a combination of a car and a bike. The alternative is a bus. The alternative is a carpool. The alternative is you're working from home. The alternative is to go to places, to only local places. What are the alternatives for each one of the three groups that we discussed today? The business people, the leisure people, and the commuters. Yes. So we compare the alternative, and then we assess what are the features or capabilities that we have that the alternative don't have. And we discussed it today in the class already when we discussed the issue, the issue of safety, the issue of convenience, the issue of weather, the issue of safety, all the things that you mentioned in the conversation today as a unique features that train have that the other people don't have, or the other alternative, not people, sorry. Then we come to the value proposition. What value do these attributes give to the customers? What is our value proposition? Why all the features of our service are much better than any other alternative offered to the customer? We want the people we want to convince are the people that care the most about this value. So we want to find the people that our key features, special attributes, will worth the maximum to them. And we need to remember the context. The context, for example, if we think about our case study, COVID-19 changed the context of using trains. So it's not anymore just about quality of service, cleanliness, standing in time schedule, etc., etc., etc. But completely different things. So we need to remember. Remember this. Have a look at the link. I provided here a link about the product positioning. Especially if you're not a marketing person and you're not extremely familiar with all the marketing terminology, worth reading, yes? The location. So for us, the success of positioning is increasing the value to the maximum possible. This will be the success. Now we need to remember, I gave you reading materials. Please go to the Blackboard, have a read of the reading materials. The two reading materials that I gave you, trust me, are the most classical papers in marketing in terms of value. And if you want to be educated, even on just on a decent level, not on a super brilliant level, these two papers are in a must-read papers. So yeah, you don't have to quote it in your paper. So maybe I lost your interest just now saying it. But if you want to be regarded as educated in marketing, at least know this paper, about this paper. Just read a little bit so you know what is about. If you really want to know, read them. These two papers are papers that change marketing dramatically, each one of them in different way. So I encourage you to go and read it. And you will see most of what I'm talking about here will be in these two papers. What is important to remember that we don't have value that is universal and standard for everyone. What is valuable for me is not necessarily valuable to my friend. Not necessarily valuable for my kids in the same way. Yes? Each one of us have different ways of judging value. Each one of us have different ways to evaluate the value proposition. And here, as a marketeer, we need to understand that that every individual have a object of interest in a different ways, and we need to adapt our messages to this individual interests. Four elements of that we think about consumer value: the interactivity, relativism, effectivity, and the experience, and the grounding in the consumer, in the experience. And in the next 20 minutes, I will explain these elements. And I think after that I will leave you and we'll continue in the class. So first of all, consumer value is interactive. This means that consumer value entails interaction between some subjects, consumer to customer, consumer to consumer, or group of consumer, and some object, a product, a brand, a service. The collaboration of both subject and object is in the constitution of value, meaning I see the brand, I see the service, I see the product, I evaluate, and this evaluation, this collaboration, this interaction constitute the value. My assessment of the features of what you offer me will affect my willingness to pay what you ask me to pay. What is important that to remember that this is interactive process. It's not take it or leave it. This is my price, take it or leave it. Very little amount of businesses in our world, very little amount of brands in our world are in a position they can say to the customers. There is too much competition, too much alternative for us to be able to, or want, or willing at all to speak in this kind of language. There is a debate on a price, there is a negotiation on a price, and we need to recognize it. In the classic marketing literature, there is a tension between the objectivist and the subjectivist. The objectivist will say, hey, this is features of the product. If we answer this feature of the product, then value assessment will be like that. The subjectivist will say, no, only if you create a story, if you excite the customers, if you increase the value, then you can increase the value. Levitt, Theodore Levitt is the guru of the objectivist approach. He says product needs to have specific feature that please the customers, and if once we have all the features of the product, then we can create customer value. And another classic to think about it in the terms of the objectivist approach is the Marxist approach, the Marxist school in sociology, with their labor theory of value, which basically they calculate how many hours been taken to create a product and how many hours you give in return. If you think this is very theoretical, you can still just Google at the McDonald's index, and this is how still many companies in the world will calculate how to price product when they go to another market. Because if we compare, maybe we'll do it in the classroom, if we compare the value of McDonald's or the price of McDonald's in China to the price of McDonald's in the USA or to England, we'll see different prices. It's based on the calculation of how many hours a person needs to work according to the average payment, hourly payment on that country to be able to buy a burger, a Big Mac. This is what is called the McDonald's index. So the Marxist theory is talking about calculating the hour of production. So how cost, basically in simple language, cost of production versus the amount of hours we work to earn earn the money required to buy the problem. So either you take the objectivist approach of the Marxist and Theodore Levitt, or you take the subjectivist approach that one thing is clear: value is created in interaction between us and the customer. We try to increase the value, the customers check the benefits of that, and based on this interaction, there is a decision if the value is met, the value assessment is met or not. Another element here is the comparative element of value. Value is comparative in that we can state the value of one object only in reference to another object. How do I know if something is expensive or not? If someone asks me, was it expensive? The only way I can answer this question is if I compare it to another product or brand, yes? So the only way we consumer have a judgment of value is by comparing it to other product. Now remember that we don't compare it. We don't in our norms the way we do it, even if sometimes subconsciously we do it. We don't compare it to other people. We compare it to other things. So we don't. It is illegitimate in our society to say I like ice cream better than you like ice cream. Yes. This is not the comparison we do. It is a very legitimate value statement to make an interpersonal. I can say I like vanilla ice cream better than I like chocolate ice cream. So, but I will not say, "Oh, I like chocolate. I like ice cream more than you like." So the comparison is always to other products. Yes. So we said value is interactive, value is comparative. The third element is value is personal. That is, as I said before, the value assessment of one person will be different than value assessment of another person. Is based on our life experience, is based on our income, is based on our education, is based on a lot of things. So every person will have different evaluation of the same brand, the same product. We should know that this personal relativity of consumer value, this is why our job in the first place. If customers are different and have differences in evaluation, then our job is to be able to create value proposition to each one of these consumers, different consumers in different ways. Before the internet, before the computers, before all the things that we are using now, it was much harder. So all of you that want to discuss how social media and how data affect consumers, you need to take in consideration value proposition and how we affect the perception and manipulating value perception in the mind of consumers, and how technology like big data, like social media, like mobile phone, like all emails and computers and all these GPS and videos and all these things that we have now, how all these things can be harvested or harnessed to create or manipulate value perception. So if consumer value is the foundation of marketing, otherwise nobody needs us, yes? Then personal relativity is the foundation of the whole marketing, yes? is the main element of all marketing, because then by this relativity, by this personalization, we actually have a job. We can create value in creative way and convince every person individually that what we sell have higher value than our competitors. And the last element that I want you to remember is that value is situational. Consumer value is situational, and that it depends on the context. Yes, if I'm going to on a train, on a holiday, to go on a bike ride on a weekend, my judgment of the value of the train journey will be different if there was ice on the road in the morning, or if there is a traffic jams, or if there is a bad weather, or there is many other things that can evaluate my value perception. So it's very much of situational, contextual. It depends on every moment. So my challenge to you to think, okay, if it's relative, individual, comparative, and situational, how can I, as a marketer, use it in my campaign to create or to higher value in the mind of the consumer? Yes? Think about it. This is your challenge. And the last bit is to remember that a value is experience. So it's not about the product itself, or almost not the product itself, or almost not important. But the experience of the product, the experience of the service. Have a look at Holbrook and Hirschman. I didn't put the paper there, but Holbrook and Hirschman is another classic that you need to be aware of. On experience, I will try to speak about experience if I have time. I hope to one of the coming weeks I will speak about experience. This is definitely a paper that I will recommend you to read when we think about experience. And this will lead, I don't think I have time to speak about it, but this will lead to what after that developed as the new dominant logic, Vargo and Lush. You've got the paper on the blackboard, one of the most important papers that's been produced in the last 20 years. Watch the YouTube. I will let you know. Watch the YouTube on value proposition. Read the paper on that. Is extremely important. Yeah. Okay. After we watch the video, what I want you, I will finish the lecture here. But what I want you to do is to read on your own on value co-creation. Read all these materials that I give you here, the video and the paper and everything. I think is extremely important. And so for the rest of the session today, when you just I want you to read the article I gave you here. It is a webinar of 2 hours. But I think if you have 2 hours, or if you try to make this 2 hours, I think it's really, really good, and you will enjoy it and benefit from it equally to my lecture. Okay, so have a look at it. And because value co-creation is a reality you will face every day when you work in the industry. So have a look at all this. I here give you more papers, so you've got more than enough, 3 or 4 or 5 hours of materials on value co-creation, and I really recommend you to do it. Yes. So thank you very much. I hope the concept of value is clear. We will be able to discuss it in details when I meet you next week. I will give you 20-30 minutes, the first 20-30 minutes to bring questions or from this recorded lecture. Remember, I asked you in the class to think about the value proposition to each one of the group we have identified. So we'll begin the next session with a clear identification of the of value. Thank you very much and goodbye.